The chief constraint is mental, regardless of the field. Even in sports, where we might think that the physical demands are the hardest, across realms, the required concentration is so intense that it is exhausting. If deliberate practice is so hard, if in most cases it is not inherently enjoyable, as some of the top researchers say, then why do some people put themselves through it day after day after day for decades while most do not? Where does the necessary passion come from? That turns out to be quite a deep question, but answers are turning up.
64,000 is the median number of words per book. Average person reads about 200 words per minute. Simple math will tell us that is one book in 320 minutes. To accomplish this in 7 days, numbers say you would have to read for 45 minutes a day. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification button, like, comment, and share. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Book of the Week series. Every week as I read another amazing title, I share it with the world. My name is Igor S.F. Walker, and today we look at Talent is Overrated. What really separates world-class performers from everybody else by Geoff Colvin. So, how about you slow down and relax? Reduce all that noise for just a bit. Make that choice and decide to listen. In this video, we explore why are certain people so incredibly great at what they do. Most of us think we know the answer, but we're almost always wrong. And that is important because if we are wrong on this crucial question, then we have zero chance of getting significantly better at anything we do care about. So stick around till the end. I will share with you some tools I do have in use that will help you tremendously in this game of life. Discover a way to find out what actually motivates you, what innate human need is driving all of your decisions and your behavior. I will share some tools to improve your self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management. This is a mystery, so commonplace that we scarcely notice it. Yet, it is critically important to the success or failure of our organizations, the causes we believe in, and our own lives. Most of us would be embarrassed to add up the total hours we have spent on our jobs and then compare that number with the hours we have given to other priorities that we do claim are more important, like our families. The figures would show that work is our real priority. Yet after all those hours and all those years, most people are just okay at what they do. In fact, the reality is even more puzzling than that. Extensive research in a wide range of fields shows that many people not only fail to become outstandingly good at what they do, no matter how many years they have spent doing it, they frequently do not even get any better than they were when they just started. The odds are that few, if any, of the people around you are truly great at what they do, awesomely, amazingly, world-class, excellent. Why? Exactly why aren't they? Why don't they manage businesses like Jack Welch or Andy Grue? Or play golf like Tiger Woods? Or play the violin like Itzhak Perlman? After all, most of them are good, conscientious people, and they probably work diligently. Some of them have actually been at it for a very long time, 20, 30, 40 years. Why isn't that enough to make them great performers? It clearly isn't. The hard truth is that virtually none of them have achieved greatness or come even close, and only a tiny few actually ever will. The most recent studies of business managers confirm these results. Researchers from the INSEAD Business School in France and the US Naval Postgraduate School call the phenomenon the expert trap. Their key finding, while companies typically do value experienced managers, rigorous study shows that on average, managers with experience did not produce high caliber outcomes. Occasionally, people actually get worse with experience. See, most experienced doctors reliably score lower on tests of medical knowledge than the less experienced ones. When asked to explain why a few people are so excellent at what they do, most of us have two answers. And the first one is hard work. People get extremely good at something because they work hard at it. We tell our kids that if they just work hard, they will be fine. It turns out that this is exactly right. They will be fine, just like all the other people who work at something for most of their lives and then get along perfectly acceptably, but never become particularly good at it, let alone great. So our instinctive first answer to the question of exceptional performance does not hold up. Our second answer is the opposite of the first. But that doesn't stop us from believing it fervently. It goes back at least 2,600 years to the time of Homer. Call in the inspired art demodicus. God has given the man the gift of song. We've changed our views on a lot of important matters since then, how the planets move, where diseases come from, but we have not changed our views on what makes some people extraordinarily good at what they do. We still think what Homer thought. We still say they have a gift, which is to say their greatness was given to them for reasons no one can explain by someone or something apart from themselves. It turns out that our knowledge of great performance, like our knowledge of everything else, has actually advanced quite a bit in the past couple of millennia. It is just that most of these knowings haven't made their way into people's heads. In a big way, about 150 years ago, and what's most important, the growing mountain of research that has accumulated in just the past 30 years. Deliberate practice is hard. It hurts, but it works. More of it equals better performance. Tons of it equals great performance. Now, contemporary athletes are superior, not because they're somehow different but because they train themselves more efficiently. Now, this is an important concept for us to remember. Standards in intellectual disciplines are rising at least as fast as in the sports. For virtually every company, the scarce resource today is human ability. That's why companies are under unprecedented pressure to make sure that every employee is as highly developed as possible. And as we shall see, no one knows what the limits of development are. At the same time, a separate historic trend is putting individuals under unprecedented pressure to develop their own abilities more highly than it was ever necessary before, quite apart from anything their employees may or may not do to develop them. What is talent? If it turns out that we are all wrong about talent, and I will offer a lot more evidence that we are, then that is a big problem if we believe that people without a particular natural talent for some activity will never be good at, or at least will never be competitive with those who actually do possess that talent, then we will direct them away from that activity. We will tell them they shouldn't even think about it. We will steer our kids away from particular studies, whether they are tennis, economics, or Chinese, because we think that we see signs that they have no talent in those realms. We are all sure that talent exists, but that doesn't mean that we actually really thought about it. Hardly any of us had done that. The notion is just part of our conception of the world, and it is worth asking why. And much of the answers reside in an unlikely place: the writings of a 19th century English aristocrat and explorer who never actually finished college, Francis Galton. It's definitely surprising, at least at first, to find that research does not support the view that extraordinary natural general abilities, as distinct from developed abilities like SF's memory, are necessary for high achievement. In fact, in a wide range of fields, including business, the connection between general intelligence and specific abilities is weak, and in some cases apparently non-existent. As for memory, the whole concept of a powerful memory is problematic, because it turns out that memory abilities is very clearly created rather than innate. Obviously, the most successful people in business or any other domain have something special. But what is it? What do we mean when we say someone is smart? It's one of those concepts that we understand intuitively, but then we dwell on it. Then we realize how complicated it is. Some people seem smart with numbers, some are smart with words, others with abstract concepts, still others with concrete knowledge. And how do all of these kinds of smart fit together? When we do think of intelligence in the general, old-fashioned academic sense, then particle physicists are smarter than dentists, who are smarter than assembly line workers on average. So a mass of evidence seem to undergird the view, and even if the world's greatest performers do not possess a specific targeted gift, they still have some more general, natural advantage, most likely superior intelligence. Now, the trouble starts when we dig beneath the averages. What we really like to know is not what does or does not stop us, but what makes some people go so much further than others. And what we have discovered so far is not what makes some people excel, but rather what doesn't. Specifically, it isn't experience. Not only are we surrounded by highly experienced people who are nowhere near great at what they do, but we have also seen evidence that some people in a wide range of fields actually get worse after years of doing something. It isn't specific inborn abilities. We've seen extensive evidence that calls into question whether such abilities exist, and even if certain types of them might and clearly do not determine excellence. And it isn't general abilities such as intelligence and memory. The research finds that in many fields, the relationship between intelligence and performance is weak or non-existent. In short, we have nailed what doesn't drive great performance. So, what does? Well, the best methods of development are constantly changing. They're always built around a central principle. They're meant to stretch the individual beyond his or her current abilities. Now, that may sound obvious, but most of us do not actually do it in the activities that we think of as practice. By contrast, deliberate practice requires that one identifies certain sharply defined elements of performance that actually need to be improved and then work innately on them. Examples are everywhere. The most effective, deliberate practice and activities are those that can be repeated at high volume. Practicing without feedback is like bowling through a curtain that hangs down to knee level. We can work on technique, and you can do it all you like, but if you cannot see the effects, two things will happen. You will not get any better, and you will actually stop caring. Deliberate practice is above all an effort of focus and concentration. This is what makes it deliberate, as distinct from the mindless playing of scales or hitting of tennis balls that most people actually engage in. Erickson and his colleagues stated it clearly in their own article. Deliberate practice is not inherently enjoyable. If it seems a bit depressing that the most important thing that you can do to improve performance is no fun, then take consolation in the fact that it must be so. If the activities that lead to greatness were easy and fun, well, then everyone would do them, and they would not distinguish the best from the rest. The reality that deliberate practice is actually hard can even be seen as good news. It means that most people will not do it. So, your willingness to do it, it will distinguish you all the more. With the deliberate practice framework in mind, examples are everywhere, but questions immediately arise. The most pressing is that all there is to it? Does deliberate practice fully explain high achievement? Will someone who does twice as much of it as someone else be twice as successful? And the answer to these questions is clearly no. Deliberate practice does not fully explain achievement. Real life is too complicated for that. Most obviously, we are all affected by luck, by time, by chance. They do happen to all of us. Ultimately, we are all mortal, and our faculties decline. Now, this fact may be even more significant than it seems. A person's total lifetime hours of deliberate practice can never decline. So, if that were the only factor that actually determines performance, no one would ever get worse at anything that they have learned, since everyone does get worse eventually, even if only at a very advanced stage. Then it must be possible for factors outside of our own control to affect our performance. Practice is designed, so it can be designed well or badly. Regardless of how well it is designed, another important variable is how much effort a person puts into it. Measuring the intensity of practice, it may be difficult, but it is clearly significant. Comparing hours of practice by a large number of people reveals important trends, but comparing hours put in by specific people may actually not tell us much if we do not also know the intensity of practice, which leads to a related question. Now, considering that deliberate practice is so demanding and in itself unrewarding, and that high achievement demands thousands of hours over a period of many, many, many years, why do some people put themselves through it while most actually do not? If the road to extraordinary performance is apparent, then why do so few people choose to follow it? Frequently, when we see great performers doing what they're doing, it strikes us that they have practiced for so long and then they've done it so many times that they can just do it automatically. But in fact, what they have achieved is actually the ability to avoid doing it automatically. When we learn to do anything new, how to drive, for example, we go through 3 stages. The first stage demands a lot of attention as we try out the controls, learn the rules of driving, and so on. In the second stage, we begin to coordinate our knowledge, linking movements together, more fluidly combining our actions with our knowledge of the vehicle, the situation, and the rules. And in the third stage, we drive the car with barely a thought. It is automatic. And with that, our improvement at driving slows dramatically and eventually stops completely. By contrast, great performers never allow themselves to reach the automatic arrested development stage in their chosen field. That is, the effect of the continual, deliberate practice avoiding automaticity, the essence of practice, which is constantly trying to do the things one cannot do comfortably, makes automatic behavior impossible. Ultimately, the performance is always conscious and controlled, not automatic. You see, perception of top performers extends beyond the sense of sight. They hear more when they listen. They feel more when they touch. Everyone in these studies is hearing the same things, but through years of practice, some are actually perceiving more. They understand the significance of indicators that average performers do not even notice. Just as top tennis players look at the server's body, not at the tennis ball, the body. Excellent performers in other fields have learned to spot non-obvious information that is very important. Sometimes these signals are so profound, they then become widely known. Top performers understand their field at a higher level than the average performers do, and thus have a superior structure for remembering information about. The first challenge in designing a system of deliberate practice is identifying immediate next steps. In a few fields, those steps are very clear, but in the great majority of careers and in advanced stages of all of them, there is no published curriculum, no syllabus, no material that must be studied and mastered. In all practiced activities, it is highly valuable to get others' view of what you should be working on and how you are doing. The skills and abilities one can choose to develop are infinite, but the opportunities to practice them fall into 2 general categories. Opportunities to practice directly, apart from the actual use of the skill or the ability, the way a musician practices before performing, or opportunities to practice as part of the work itself. Those are the only 2 ways. Now, what do you do? Now, what would you do? And here comes a critically important step. Write your answer down and keep it. Remember, feedback is crucial to effective practice, and people have a tendency to misremember what they thought in the past. We almost always adjust our recollections flatteringly in light of how events actually turned out. But there's no escaping the written record. Compare your own "what would I do" with the results of what the protagonist actually did. This is the only way this exercise can actually yield genuine learning, and that learning can be considerable. Effective self-regulation is something you actually do before, during, and after the work activity itself. Self-regulation begins with setting goals. Now, these are not big life-directing goals, but instead are more immediate goals for what you are going to be doing today. Now, the best performers set goals that are not about the outcome, but actually about the process of reaching the outcome. With the goal set, the next pre-work step is planning how to actually reach the goal. Again, the best performers make the most specific technique-oriented plans. They're thinking of exactly, not vaguely, how to get to where they are actually going. The best performers go into their work with a powerful belief in what researchers actually call their self-efficacy, their ability to perform. They also believe strongly that all of their work will actually pay off for them. The most important self-regulatory skill that top performers actually use during their work is actually self-observation. Researchers call this metacognition, knowledge about your own knowledge, thinking about your own thinking. Top performers do this much more systematically than others actually do. It's an established part of their routine. Metacognition is actually important because situations change as they play out. What abilities are being taxed in this situation? Can I try out another skill here? Could I be pushing myself a little further? How is it working? See, through their ability to observe themselves, they can actually simultaneously do what they are doing and also practice what they are doing. Excellent performers judge themselves differently from the way other people do. They're more specific, just as they are more specific when they set goals and strategies. If you were pushing yourself appropriately and then have evaluated yourself rigorously, then you will have identified errors that you have made. Now, a critical part of self-evaluation is deciding what caused the error. Now, the average performer believes their errors were caused by factors outside of their control. My opponent got lucky, the task was too hard, I just don't have any natural ability for this. Now, the top performers, by contrast, they actually believe they are responsible for their errors. A mental model is actually never finished. Great performers not only possess highly developed mental models, they are also always expanding them and revising them. It isn't possible to do the whole job through study alone. In many fields, much of this work must be done through deliberate practice activities or through metacognitive processes in the work itself. In addition, significant building and enriching of mental models can be done through study and other knowledge seeking, and it would be actually foolish to leave these tools unused. You can do a great deal as an individual to apply the principles of great performance in your life. Applying these principles is always beneficial. Applying the principles of great performance to team development is not conceptually difficult. The same basic elements that work for individuals, well-designed practice activities, coaching, repetition, feedback, self-regulation, building knowledge, and mental models, all work for teams as well. The problems are practical. They center on forces within the team that prevent it from realizing the benefit of a great performance approach. When it comes to tasks that are part of their domain of expertise, great performers can keep performing at a high level even after their skills outside their domain have deteriorated. We have seen repeatedly that great performance does not come from superior general abilities. It comes from specific skills that actually have been developed in a particular way over a long period of time. So it makes sense that when general abilities decline with age, that decline need not affect the specific skills that undergird great performance. In general, well-designed practice, pursued for enough times, enables a person to circumvent the limitations that would otherwise hold back his or her performance, and circumvent the limitations is the key to high performance at an advanced age. Continued, deliberate practice enables top performance to maintain skills that would otherwise decline with age, and to develop other skills and other strategies to compensate for the declines that can no longer be avoided. In our search for the source of the motivation that sustains people to the trials of getting better, the evidence is pushing in a clear direction. The passion doesn't accompany us into this world, but rather, like high-level skills themselves, it develops. That finding fits well with what we observe in real life. World-class achievers are driven to improve, but most of them didn't start out that way. What you really believe about the source of great performance becomes the foundation of all you will ever achieve. As we noted much earlier, such beliefs can be extremely deep-seated regardless of where our beliefs might have originated. However, we all have the opportunity to base them on the evidence of reality. The evidence offers no easy assurances. It shows that the price of top-level achievement is extraordinarily high. Perhaps it is inevitable that not many people will choose to pay it. But the evidence shows also that by understanding how a few become great, anyone can become better. And above all, what the evidence shouts most loudly is striking, liberating news. The great performance is not reserved for a preordained few. It is available to you, and it is available to everyone. And there you have it. Talent is overrated. What really separates world-class performance from everybody else. Now, please do help out. It is easy. Simply like this video so more people can enjoy it. Share it too and spread the word. Do leave a comment and share your thoughts. Subscribe to my channel and stay up to date. And the link to this book is in the description below. So buy it. Read. Never stop learning, especially learning about yourself and nature. So gift yourself by taking the free human needs test on my website and find out what actually motivates you, what innate human need is driving all of your decisions and your behavior. And if you feel you are ready to improve your self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management even further, do check out my Master of Life Awareness program. The links are in the description below. Thank you. Love and respect.